Good morning. It's Wednesday, May 31st, the day after the true Memorial Day, which at one time was called Declaration Day. But because the country went Monday holiday happy, they moved this special day, which is in honor of all our veterans who have fought in all our wars. They moved it to a Monday holiday. And I guess that's okay. If the nation wants Monday holidays and long 3-day weekends, I think that's a good idea. So in any event, I'm up this morning trying to find something to speak about, because I'm done talking about the debt ceiling until we see what Congress and the Senate does about that. And I'm glad it ended the way it did and that they have something to work with. And I'm pretty sure, I'm confident that this time, even though there are naysayers out there that this is going to pass, the debt limit bill is going to pass and everything will be okay until 2025. So I searched around to find something to talk about, And I looked at some sports things and I found out that the Boston Celtics lost Game 7 at home after winning the 3 games in a row, which would have been a major comeback. But that's not interesting enough to talk about. And I don't watch basketball anymore, and I don't watch hockey anymore. The only thing I do is I watch tape versions of the Yankee games. And I watch them on tape because I can skip through the commercials and all of that, and I don't even have to watch the opposition bat. So in any event, I'm looking all over and I find finally something that I can speak about. And this is a warning to all of us, the story that I am about to tell you. And this caught my eye because this is the story about a woman who does banking at Chase. Now, I do banking at Chase, and I do all of my banking online. And Chase has this 2-step verification system that I find to be a pain in the ass. Because every time I open it up and I try to get information, it tells me it doesn't recognize my computer. And I have been using this computer for 4 years or so. But I go through this whole routine. I have my mobile phone sitting there, and it asks where it can send me a code, and I tell them, okay, use my mobile phone, and in 5 seconds I get a message, a 6-digit code that I can get on so I can get on my system. And it's very rare that I can go directly into the system. I go through this online procedure all the time. So Chase has mechanisms in place to protect its customers, supposedly. So this is the story about a woman, the owner of a small catering business. And she had a Chase bank account. And I'm sure that when she went there to look for her funds and everything, she had to go through the same rigmarole that I went through. And this woman has dedicated over 10 years to build up her business, and finally she had a fairly large savings account in the Chase Bank. And she lives in California. I'm not disparaging living in California, it just happens that that's where she lives. And you can probably find this story if you go online and look it up. So anyhow, she gets a text message supposedly from her bank about some kind of unauthorized debit to her card. And I've gotten things like this too. I've gotten text messages, and in many cases I just ignore them. But I certainly don't call anybody up to find out what's happening. But she takes some action and calls somebody. She promptly replied to this text message. And the representative was very nice on the phone and asked her a couple of different questions and asked her to verify her bank ID and all sorts of things like that. And then she said some very nice things and introduced herself as Miss Barbara from the Chase ATM system, right? And she said because it is mixed up with her debit card, they had to issue a new debit card to resolve this alleged fraudulent charge. So the young lady gave her all the information that was necessary and went about her business and never bothered to check her accounts or anything, just proceeded in her daily life running her business and gathering more and more money to put into Chase, right? And then she gets another phone call a couple of days later verifying some other things. It's the same Miss Barbara's calling her again and again and again. And I think you know where I'm going in this situation. So this woman got called 4 or 5 times and kept giving them information. The debit card was never certified, never showed up, the new debit card. There was always something the woman told her on the phone that needed a little bit more information, a little bit less information. And finally, after 2 or 3 weeks of this back and forth messaging with Miss Barbara of the Chase Bank, the young lady goes in to check her accounts and finds out that the $160,000 that she had in that account is no longer there. Apparently, Miss Barbara and her cohorts have been sending that money to other places. They have been emptying her bank account while she has been talking to them on the telephone, giving them all this information that would allow them to empty her bank account. Anyhow, this young lady gets, I'm sure she's agitated at this point, and she doesn't really know what to do. Because now, this is her life savings. This is what she's worked 12 years to accumulate. She gets in touch with Chase Bank, and she tells them what's happening, and then she wants her money back. And Chase sends her a very nice letter, but refuses to give her the $160,000 back, claiming, and I believe Chase is 100% correct in this claim, that she had no business talking to this person on the phone, that Chase never calls you about anything. And that's right, I've never gotten a phone call from Chase. Well, I shouldn't say that. I have gotten phone calls, but I've been expecting them because I've gone to the bank for some information and I get a call back from somebody who I've spoken to at the bank. So I know it's legit. But if Chase doesn't call you, the banks don't call you. They'll email you or they'll do something like that, but they don't call you. So this woman was stupid, acted badly, and expected Chase to cover her ass. And so I tell you this story as a warning, because many of us are liable to fall into this trap without realizing exactly what we're doing. So when you get a call from your bank, you better check 2 or 3 times before you give them any information. So that's my advice. A terrible story to a poor woman who did all the wrong things, and it cost her $160,000. And it's a lesson to all of us. Watch your money carefully. Know what the hell you're doing. And have a great day today. I leave you with that. Bye.